Hi. In this talk, let's discuss how tablets in ScyllaDB deliver constant and deterministic processing time compared with traditional full table scans in vNode-based architectures. My name is Felipe Mendes, and I work as a technical director at ScyllaDB. On last year's P99 CONF, I spoke about ScyllaDB and how it compares against main cache D. And another thing you needed to know about me is that, well, I like puppies. So, ScyllaDB is a distributed database for efficient, low latency point queries. Full scans, on the contrary, is really the process involved when you have the need to read through an entire dataset, either because you want to synchronize your data with another data source, um, build reports or dashboards, or you have a need to support batch analytics. And it happens that there are many ways we can run full scans. Starting from the naive way, we would simply execute a select statement with or without any query restrictions. And we call this the naive way because a single query, although it works, does not exploit the full parallelism and concurrency of a distributed system like ScyllaDB. We then get to the vNodes way, which in this presentation I call the non-deterministic way. In this approach, the goal is to traverse the entire token ring by using the token function. In simple terms, you pick your starting token, which is minus 2 to the power of 63, and your max token, and you split it in many smaller ranges, which you then execute in parallel at a given concurrency against your distributed NoSQL database. And this approach does come with its own set of challenges, as in what is the optimal size of the token boundary that we should pick. And let's think about it for a second. So the larger your token ranges get, the fewer requests you have to execute so you can fully traverse your ring, and higher coordination overhead gets introduced. In particular, you get closer to the naive example in the previous section, the larger your token ranges get. On the contrary, smaller token boundaries require more queries to be executed to fully traverse the entire ring space, with each query often returning less data, which requires less coordination. But since smaller token boundaries introduce more queries, this in turn introduces more round trips, which at the end of the day may result in a not so ideal processing time. So, at this point, you may be wondering, how are other solutions out there doing full scans with either Apache Cassandra or ScyllaDB, given these constraints which I just explained? And many years ago, Apache Cassandra introduced a system.size estimates table, which we happen to inherit. And on this table, each replica in the cluster will sample the number of partitions, and the product of the mean size spanning these partitions will correspond to the size of its own token ranges. The data is stored in this internal table, then gets parsed by tools like Apache Spark and Trino or Presto to fully load the table contents into a data frame or such after when you are actually executing your full table scan job. And it occurs that these tools also come with a set of tunnable parameters, like split size, as shown here in this slide, which allows users to specify different granularities as inferred by parsing that table upfront. And the problem with this approach is that full scans are non-deterministic. And the reason is quite simple for us to reason about, really. First, one of the problems with estimates is that they are very prone to skews, as it depends on how timely and accurate those replica samples are, which is really a hard thing to do in an LSM-based storage engine. Naturally, sampling occurs as part of compaction, but the mean partition size used in estimates does not reflect the presence of tombstones, for example. And given eventual consistency, two replicas may report very different sample sizes for the very same token range, which end up resulting in wrongly generated range splits by those tools. So the problem actually gets worse when tables aren't equally populated, which is in fact hardly the case. For example, you may have sparse tables with little or no data where you can afford scanning through very wide ranges for completion. Whereas you might have a need to also scan through high density tables, very large tables, in which you want many smaller queries until you traverse your entire token space. So in this slide, I give you an example on how the size estimates table works. Even for a table you believe can be quite dense, it could happen that only a few vNodes are more populated than others. And even then, it could be, and probably is, a single or a few partitions causing that discrepancy in your result. So in reality, scanning through vNodes require some effort in manual tuning. And even then, as your data set evolves, you may be required to revisit that tuning quite often. So now, let's take a look at tablets and how it particularly works to address some of these drawbacks in vNodes. As a quick recap, tablets are a new replication algorithm in ScyllaDB. You can think of it as an abstraction where data in a table gets divided into smaller fragments. That's how I like to visualize it, really. And each of these fragments or tablets span a contiguous token range that can dynamically get merged or get merged with other existing tablets, or it can get split to create new tablets according to a given geometric average size, which by default is 5 gigabytes in size. Tablets evolve the way data gets distributed in ScyllaDB. As the picture on this slide shows, unlike the previous vNode approach, where all tables share the very same ring space, with tablets, the data from each table has a different count depending on its density. So we can imagine that each distinct table in a ScyllaDB cluster actually observes its own ring, but it really gets distributed in smaller pieces, and for each of those pieces we call tablets. And the tablets have plenty of benefits like elasticity, parallel topology operations, and simpler maintenance. But for the purpose of this talk, we are going to focus on its finer grained data distribution, that is, Uh, the ability for the system to balance data and load more precisely, avoiding problems with hotspots and uneven ownership that affect vNodes, and its better handling of sparse and high density tables. And tablets come with an auxiliary table called System.tablets, which happen to be a layer of indirection between vNodes token ranges to tablet ownership. The way it works is that each table and tablet gets assigned its own non-overlapping token range and maps to nodes and replica shards. As demonstrated by the CQL example in this slide here, where we have one table with 128 tablets, and each of those tablets has two replicas. If you are not familiar with ScyllaDB, we follow a shard per core architecture. A shard, in our context, is the data owned by a single CPU core. So as you append or delete data to this table, the system autonomously may create more tablets or merge the existing ones respectively. And since we know each tablet follows a geometric average size, we know the size of each tablet remains relatively constant, which is great for our full scan jobs. So, on a high level, to fully scan a tablet-based table, clients simply have to parse the contents within the System.tablets table to retrieve the current tablet mapping to the replicas, and group those such that traversing the table's token ring space keeps all CPU cores busy. Lastly, to ensure clients properly route the requests to the correct CPU, a routing key is set to every request, allowing the underlying ScyllaDB shardware drivers to route it to the correct CPU. The result is a full scan that remains shard local and fully maximizes the cluster processing power. Now that we understand our goal, let's see how the implementation evolves from the previous vNode-based approach. So, the approach I use introduces a new component compared with the previous vNode-based full scans topology. We introduce the scheduler, and our design basically follows a multi-stage queue design. The central coordinator, often the controller node, has the only job of retrieving the tablet mapping and pushing each tablet owned range to its respective shard processing queue. In the picture, we call this the pending requests queue. And alongside each request, it also pushes metadata around its replica ownership. The scheduler, which now sits at the middle, retrieves requests from the pending requests queue and dispatches it following a list-loaded replica balancing algorithm, which therefore ensures that all shards are actively processing requests. In the not so unlikely situation all replicas are busy, the scheduler simply places the request back into its original queue and picks up another, which may span a different replica set. Finally, the worker nodes have the simple job of polling each replica's queue, dispatch incoming work, and applying back pressure to assist the scheduler in its per CPU fair load balancing. So, to summarize, tablets in ScyllaDB allow for relatively constant full scan processing times as your data evolves, eliminating the need for manual tuning and other complexities stemming from the previous vNode-based approach. We also provide a simulator code where you can experiment and observe the results by yourself, as well as learn more about its inner implementation details. In particular, you should observe that if you double the cluster size and half your tablet count, its processing time will be deterministically reduced also by half. So, I hope you learned something new today. Here are my contact details should you want to stay tuned. And thank you so much for your time. See you soon. Bye.